Hey y'all, hey. Okay, tonight is going to be a short clip, but I just wanted to come on and I wanted to ask, this video is for the ladies, and I wanted to ask you ladies, or I wanted to say, before you commit, are you willing to submit? Before you commit, are you willing to submit? And I want to read to you the word submit and what it says. It says, accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. That part right there just got some of y'all. Y'all like, no, we ain't finna do that. And then the second part says, subject to a particular process, treatment, or condition. I couldn't do nothing but laugh at that part. Because guess what? We have to look at it and say that in order to submit, we would have to be willing to accept or yield. I thought the key point was yield. Sometimes it's not that you always agree, but you're willing to yield to the leadership of the man in your home. And so, again, with my channel, I'm speaking from a perspective of a Christian base, and I'm also speaking from a perspective of marriage and not just dating or just being in a long-term relationship. So I also looked at the fact that the word submit is a verb, and a verb means there is what? Action attached to it. That means that you have to move in that direction. So what made me really start thinking about this, and like I said, this is going to just be a short clip tonight, and I just want you to think about it. What made me start thinking about it is, today I made a fairly large purchase, and when I made that purchase, I had to use some funds from one account that is an account that I use on a regular basis, and I needed to go and move some funds from another account at a totally different bank, and I needed to move those funds into my general account so that I wouldn't have anything bouncing tonight. And I told my son, I said, I think I'm going to go to the bank, and it was late, and he said, well, Mom, why are you going to the bank tonight? I don't think you need to do that tonight. You need to go tomorrow maybe. And so I kind of chuckled, because if I have boys and they kind of think they my daddy instead of me being the mama. But that's a story for another day. But it's a good thing, because he was saying it out of love and protection. Me not going to the ATM machine by myself. We were at a family function, and they really didn't want to leave, and I didn't want them to leave. And so I thought to myself, if I was married and my husband asked me that, what would I do? How would I handle that? Would I be willing not to go tonight because he asked me not to do that? Or would I be willing to just go against the grain because that's what I needed to do? Now, I do think that things would have played out a little bit differently, because I had been thinking about this purchase, but I had not moved the funds from that particular account so that I could make the purchase. And again, I knew I had some things that were going to draft over the weekend, and I was like, I don't want to take a chance by those things coming through this weekend, and then I have something that bounces. So I thought about the difference between a single woman and a married woman. There's a difference. As a single woman, I get to make all the decisions that I want. I can do whatever I want, like the song, I can never whatever you want. But if I'm a married woman, I have to lean to his decision-making processes. I have to be willing to submit myself to that based upon my Christian beliefs. And then I would have to be willing to follow his lead. And so going back again to accepting or yielding to a superior force, that means that it might be something that I might not be in agreement with him on, but am I willing to submit to his headship? And sometimes that's something that, we have to talk through and things of that sort. I'm not talking about someone just dominating over you and telling you what to do and, you not having a voice. I'm talking about something such as this, where they might be concerned about your safety, and you go into an ATM machine at nighttime. I knew that it wasn't safe, but I also knew that based upon what I had to write for that fairly large item that I purchased, I did not want any return items on my account either. So it's a hard dance to make sometimes. And then the last thing that I wrote, I put me a couple of bullet points here. I put change of your mindset. So instead of looking at it as a submission where you have to give up something or you have to yield to somebody, look at it as a process where you are in agreement with someone. You come into agreement with him for his decision making processes. There are several things that I know in my life that I do as a single woman that if I were married, I would not be able to do those things. And one of them are things like that: going to the bank at night, going to get gas at night, making a run to a girlfriend's house and just hanging out with her at night. It just wouldn't be something that I think would be conducive for a married woman or her relationship. And I can do that now because I am single. So sometimes when my girlfriend called me and she like, girl, I just painted this room or I redecorated, I'll be like, girl, I'm gonna hop in the car, I'll be over there in a few minutes. And if I had a husband, he'd probably be like, no, you're not. You know that's not what you're getting ready to do. Little shawty, you're not getting ready to go out the house at 9 o'clock tonight. And honestly, if I were married, I probably would not even have entertained it from that perspective. Now, if it was 7 o'clock, I might have did it. 8 o'clock, perhaps, just to run around the corner to do it. But if it's 9 o'clock, I really wouldn't do it. And that's something that I would do as a single woman. So as women, this conversation is just for you to think about before you commit. Are you willing to submit? And so if you aren't, then you might want to rethink the process of thinking of getting married, because that would probably be something that could possibly become an issue within your relationship. All right, that's just my tidbit for today. We're not going to keep you long, and I hope that you enjoy it. Give me some information. I'd love for you to click like if you like this little clip. I would love for you to share it with a friend. And I would absolutely be thrilled if you would subscribe. Have a good night.